My name is Fintan. I'm the module lead for MG2555, that is work placement in context. This module, by the way, is aimed at people who are out on placement this year. This podcast is really aiming at trying to give you some guidance in how to complete the assignments for MG2555. By the way, as a note, if you have a apparent contradiction, then run with your interpretation of what is written down. And if necessary, write a question to the discussion board on MG2555 on Blackboard Learn. Okay, before we begin, remember one thing, that you're out there on placement. These assignments are there to try and help you gain the most out of your time with whatever organisation you're spending your industrial year with. And you, for example, you want to be able to get the most out of your time there. So in a sense, what you need to do before anything is to try and project ahead to perhaps when you completed your placement year, and try and look back and think about what you would like to achieve over that period, or to have achieved over that period. So in other words, you're not just got your head down doing things, you're trying to look ahead, you're trying to plan ahead. After all, you're going to be managers in the future, and planning, of course, is critical. And to that end, by the way, it is very important that what you write in this assignment is clear, concise, to the point. Whereas assignments 2 and 3 will want more extended discussion. This is really a plan, and any plan needs to be clear, concise, to the point. So please bear that in mind when you're thinking about evidence for your objectives or actions for improving, anything like that. Okay, so that's the introduction completed. Now I want to move on to look at the individual elements. There are 4 elements in this assignment which is worth 10% of total marks at MG2555. And the first one looks at personal and professional objectives. Now, you need to look at the assignment. It's held on Blackboard Learn, and take down and use the template that's there. So cut and paste this into a Word document so that you can use that. Now your objectives, you're going to come up with 6 personal and professional objectives. Now these objectives obviously need to have some relevance to what you're doing in regard to your placement, and in essence they ought to have so-called SMART attributes. SMART is S-M-A-R-T. S stands for specific, so the particular objective needs to be specific in some way. So they're not vague, all right, learn all about the marketing system, something like that. No, that's no good. They have to have some specificity. They need to be measurable in some way. You know, you're going to have 20 sales leads, you're going to make some kind of presentation on January the 3rd, whatever it is. It's something that we know that you've achieved when you've done so. It needs to be achievable yet challenging. So in other words, you're not going to be trying to become managing director by the end of week 3, for example. Right? That's not achievable. But it's got to be something that challenges you, though, at the same time. Okay, something that is going to stretch you so that you're going to learn from this experience. It needs to be relevant, as already stated, and it needs to have a particular time scale on it. So all of the 6 objectives should have these qualities to a greater or lesser extent. So make sure you avoid bland or vague objectives, as I've already stated, you know, becoming familiar with the marketing systems. That's really no good. You need something that's much more specific. So here I've got an example. Make a 30-minute presentation on the progress of the social media marketing campaign to my team and senior managers on January the 22nd, 2014. Something like that has the necessary specificity, etc., and SMART attributes. And then use, as I said, the template to put these in. You can move the line across, okay, the middle line there. So you then put in evidence summarising how this objective was or is being met. And as I said, clear, concise, to the point. We don't want essays in this assignment. So that's the end of looking at the element 1. A2, which is the objectives for assignment 1. Now we're going to look at the A2 skills analysis. Again, you have a template to use, so just drop that into a Word document. And you're going to be doing a kind of skills analysis. Now you have to do this with your manager, as indeed perhaps should you look, your objective should you be working with your manager on as well. Here you have a number of generic skills which are listed, and there are also a couple of spaces for a couple of skills that perhaps you could add yourself. Now maybe not all of these skills are applicable to you. Often people say, oh, what is it, interviewing technique. Okay, let's look at A2 now, which is the skills analysis. Again, it's a very good idea to use the template which is in the assignment to drop into your Word document. And here you've got a set of skills that you're looking at, and also you're going to do a rating on them, and you're also do actions for improvement. Now, you need to do this with your manager. Now, a number of generic skills listed in the document, and there are also a couple of extra spaces where you can actually put in skills perhaps that are not here, that you particularly are developing while you're at your place of work. Now, one, for example, interviewing technique, often people say, well, I'm not interviewing anybody, so it's not applicable. That's fine. NA is fine, okay? But otherwise, look at the skills, and you need to sit down and discuss them with your manager and produce a rating between 1 and 5. 1 is unacceptable, 5 is outstanding. Now, the likelihood is you'll be getting 2, 3s and 4s. Hopefully you won't get a 1, and maybe you'll get the occasional 5. But one point we need to make clear is we're not marking you on how well you are doing in terms of these skills. What we will be marking on is your actions for improvement and how clear they are in moving you perhaps from whatever rating you made to a higher rating. How you can improve on those skills. And you've got time to do this. So again, you need to be clear, concise, to the point when you put your actions for improvement. We finished looking at A2. And we're going to move on and look at A3. This is so-called task breakdown analysis. In essence, what you want is a pie chart, okay? And it looks at how you spend a typical week. Some of you will be doing different things every week. Well, all right. Some of you will perhaps be doing 3 months doing this, 3 months doing that, 3 months doing... Okay, but give us some indicative view on how you might spend your time. Now, this isn't a hard and fast rule, but I certainly don't want to see fewer than 3 segments, and I don't want to see more than 10. Because if you've got more than 10, I've seen people, they put in 15 or 18. It makes it look as though you haven't really synthesized or understood what it is you're doing. So you need to, anyway, produce a kind of pie chart showing what you do. If necessary, put a key. And remember that we're reading it here at Brunel University. We're not working for IBM. We're not working for Lloyds Bank. We're not working for whichever firm it is or organisation you're working for. So we're not aware of all the acronyms that you might use. So you might need to explain things. Okay, so try and put yourself in our shoes. We need to be able to read this, understand it. Please do that. So that's the end of looking at A3. Let's now look at A4, role context analysis. This is just trying to get some idea of what it is you do, as well as looking at what it says in A3, and where you fit in the organisation. So my suggestion is you get a sheet of A4, you put your name right in the middle, and then in an arc around your name, put in the people you interact with. Now let's say for the sake you interact with an awful lot of people, then obviously you need to group them. And you might say, just say, marketing manager and the marketing team or whatever. What sometimes people do is indicate what it is you do, if you like, with each group. But the important thing is not to make a diagram that we can't read. That's full of so much detail, we can't see the wood for the trees. And at the same time, we don't want something that wants to make us try to guess what it is, where it is you sit in the organisation. All right? So there's some kind of happy medium. It all depends on the job you do in the organisation you're working for. Finally, just to say that this work is due on the 11th of December 2013 by 12 o'clock. It's worth 10% of the final marks, and if you do a reasonable job and it's clear, concise, to the point, then you can do well in the marks for this particular exercise. If you have any questions about this assignment, then please write them to the discussion board on Blackboard Learn for MG2555. Thank you for watching and good luck with your assignment.